people are probably already asking, what is the Forever Agent? And we will get into it. And this is going to be a bit of an anthology. Each one of these points could be a 2-hour podcast in and of itself. We decided to come up with a podcast exclusively for the Forever Agent concept. I want to dive into this. Welcome back to the Forever Agent podcast. Today we're going over arguably one of the most important proclamations, which is proclamation number 10, turning your listing presentation into a Forever Agent customized home marketing proposal. So today, my guest, Alan Dalton, who's the creator of the home marketing system. He's been talking about this for decades, getting standing ovations all over the globe for your home marketing system. I'm glad I could help add to some of that here for the podcast. But just to go back to what these proclamations really are and how we arrived at them. We're disputing what traditional agents do, a disputation, which is listing presentations. We've all heard that. We're disputing that today. And we're exemplifying what a Forever Agent does, which is not a listing presentation. It's a customized home marketing proposal. So we're no longer using listing presentations. And, Alan, you've created the marketing systems for 6 iconic brands from Century 21, Better Homes and Gardens, Coldwell Banker, NRT, ERA, now Berkshire Hathaway Home Services. You name it, Alan's done it. Talk to us a little bit about why this is number 10, because we have 34 of them, but this is in the top 10, and the difference between a listing presentation and a marketing proposal before we dive into what we've created.
Well, Andrew, first of all, it's great to be with you. It's great to collaborate with you on this. And one of the reasons I'm so excited to collaborate with you because of your immense success and credibility. I know a few weeks ago you were out in Omaha, Nebraska.
Yes, sir.
At Explosion, one of the premier brainstorming events in this industry each year, hosted and facilitated by Vince Lacey. And Vince told me afterwards that of all of the speakers, when they surveyed the audience and they asked the attendees after the conference to identify the number one benefit that they derive from being there, you came up 98% of the time. So that's unprecedented. Think about that. Multiple speakers, keynote speakers, and yet of everybody there, 98% of the people took the most benefit from what you presented on this concept. So I'm delighted that we're going to be collaborating on this. And I'll just put a little perspective of why this has been a passion of mine. Many years ago, I moved from Boston to New Jersey. I didn't know a soul there. I didn't know a street. I didn't know a town. Yet I became, for a company that had 2 offices, which we built to 60 offices, I told the founder and the chairman of the company, Joe Murphy, I said, Joe, if I'm moving my family from Boston to New Jersey, I only want to be compensated on 2 things, bringing listings into the company and recruiting. And over 20 years, Andrew, I was on 2 or 3 listing calls a day, and yet I couldn't sell myself. I couldn't sell my success. I had never sold a home in New Jersey. I was from real estate in Boston. And so I couldn't go out and make a listing presentation because a listing presentation has something to do with me. A listing presentation is performative. A marketing proposal is collaborative. A listing presentation is about the past. A marketing presentation is about the future. So I was all in terms of the difference between listing presentations and marketing proposals. But unfortunately, because most of the industry takes its guidance from outside coaches, these coaches can't insert themselves into the resources and the brands and the credibilities and the market share and the marketing programs of the company that the agent works for. So all they're left with is still the outdated, anachronistic listing presentations based on calcified cliches that homeowners have developed antibodies over.
Yeah, it's fantastic. And thanks for sharing that. I had no idea that my talk was highly rated. And probably one of the reasons it was is because I got to collaborate with you so much. So this was born, again, out of these disputations, and we're trying to exemplify what we want the Forever Agents to do. And Alan and I had this beautiful synergy where I said, Alan, show me what you did on, you did 2 to 3 a day. You listed President Nixon's house. You took down 10,000 condos in one presentation, competing against, New York City ad men, and you kicked their butts, which is a fantastic story for another time.
Well, Andrew, you're 35. How much business are you going to do this year?
We'll close over $200 million worth of real estate. But what gets me excited in talking to people like you and the rest of the Forever Agent Network is that's possible for anybody. If you can lean in, start doing things a little bit differently, and take these proclamations for what they are, disputation, and exemplify this. And we want to be over here, particularly on this most important topic, to me at least, because we know in this business, you have to list to last. Listings are the name of the game.
And by the way, much of this is just common sense. Because, one of the oldest principles of selling is find out what people want and give it to them.
Amen.
Is there a homeowner in North America that wants to hear a listing presentation? The answer is no. No home seller has ever called a real estate office or agent to say, could you please come over and make a listing presentation and make sure you tell us what time, because we're going to wake the kids up so they can hear it. No, they prefer marketing proposals. That's why after some listing presentations, home sellers have actually said, can you come back, Andrew, and make with a proposal? People want proposals. They want marketing presentations, not listing presentations. But if somebody is not familiar with all of your points of difference, your resources, your marketing programs, you're going to be left with a listing presentation.
So Alan and I have combined a lot of what I did to have success in my first 12 years to what he's been doing for decades at an extremely high level. And that's what we came up with. And that's what we're going deep on today. So I'm ready to dive into this.
Let's get started.
If you are. So we came up with the 4 Ps of a Forever Agent customized home marketing proposal. Now, we didn't steal that from the 4 Ps of marketing. It just happens to be a nice congruence there. And the 4 Ps of marketing, for those who don't know, this is like the Bible of all marketing. It's still in every single marketing textbook. Anyone who's well-versed and nuanced in marketing knows about the 4 Ps.
Amen.
Came out in 1957 from the Harvard Business School. And the 4 Ps are product, price, promotion, and placement. Every product or service, if they're marketed properly, goes through that paradigm of the 4 Ps. What's our product? How are we promoting it? What price are we going to have? And where's it going to be placed? What's the placement? In real estate, it goes so well. So that's the 4 Ps of marketing, but now we have the 4 Ps of a customized marketing proposal. It's actually Alan's home marketing system, but we're taking it to the next level for the Forever Agents with a modern day practitioner and an icon in the industry and a legend of the game. So the reason I wanted to get this out to the network is because earlier in my career, and I've told you this story, I was so infatuated with having the best listing presentation.
Right.
Because before I was, I had my mindset shifted on the fact that no one likes listing presentations, and the only people who talk about listing presentations are our industry from coaches who can't actually change the game up for us in our individual brands. I went on this mission to find the best one, and I ended up paying $25,000 to a coach. I won't tell you the whole story, and I'm proud of that investment, and I got a really great presentation out of it. But what we've came up with is so much better, so much simpler, so much easier to present because it's just logical and rational all the way through, and it's what the client actually wants.
Amen.
So here's the 4 Ps of the customized home marketing proposal: preparation, present and propose, pricing, and the post work that's involved and the follow-up and all that good stuff when you're actually servicing a listing.
Andrew, before you go any further, I want to make I think, a very important point, and I want to make it emphatically. You just spoke to our blessed audience by virtue of outlining the fact that there's going to be 4 of something, the 4 Ps. That's easy for them now to follow. That's why as we get into what we present to home sellers, I want the audience, our colleagues within the network, to be looking for the 3 this, the 2 of this, the 4 of this, because home sellers also need to have that framework to follow along.
Yeah, you got to have ways to anchor this stuff into your brain. So we already went over the 4 Ps of the customized marketing proposal, and there's going to be 4 Cs, and we're going to share a lot with you today. But guys, we're on this journey with you. We've recently been creating this over the last 3 months. We want to add to it. We want you to dispute some of the things we're saying. We want to make this as good as it possibly can for our network. And that's how everybody learns. We see it, we do it, and I've been practicing this out in the streets at kitchen tables for the last 2 months. We see it, we do it, then we teach it. So come on the journey with us. This is the way to list homes with a customized home marketing proposal. So preparations first, and this is something I kind of added to what Alan has been presenting, because we really have to be prepared for these appointments.
By the way, I'm happy you're starting off with the preparation, because let me confess, for 20 years, I was just involved in the presentation and the pricing, because I was going with my colleagues. I made the presentations. We had 60 offices. We owned 32. I had 1,200 sales executives. I basically made the presentations for everybody when I was available. I never charged anybody a fee because I was the president and co-owner of the company, but I did none of the preparation and I did none of the post work. So when I've shared my background, it's always parenthetically just on the presentation and the pricing. So I'm thrilled that you are going to extend this more comprehensively with the preparation.
Well, you have to prepare. It's actually so important. It's another one of our Forever Agent proclamations, because Forever Agents are proficient in preparation. Because if you don't get this right, you're not going to set this thing off on the right foot. You're not going to be armed with what you need to be confident and in control of this process. So when we think about preparation, the first thing we want to do is prepare the home seller. What does that mean? You have to set some basic expectations before you show up for your appointment. And that could be as simple as this. Hey, Mr. Allen, I'm looking forward to coming over Thursday at 5. What types of things do you want to go over in order to make the best use of your time? Okay, that's confident, that's collaborative, that's consultative, and it's in control because I'm asking questions. We're going to cover the 4 C's later, but there they are. And they're going to say simple things like, hey, Andrew, we're just thinking about getting the home ready for sale. We want some tips and tricks, whatever homeowners say, because they don't understand our process and our business fully. And then you just simply embed, hey, after selling over $1 billion of real estate or whatever your stats are, typically home sellers want to know, hey, what's my home worth? What do you charge and what do you do to get it sold? I want to make sure we cover those things, because that's what every savvy home seller needs to know before they can make a powerful decision moving forward. Boom. Now that's just a basic preparing the home seller. Hey, we're going to consult with you. We're going to give you some guidance, and this is going to be well worth your time. Boom. Then what the agent does, what a Forever Agent does, who's proficient in preparation, is we have to prepare quantitatively. What does that mean? You need to know everything about this subject property. Okay? When did they buy it? What did they buy it for? What type of financing do they have? Did they get any closing costs? How are they holding title? Tenants in common, tenants by entirety. What's the square footage? Print out the tax record. Print out the lien on the property with all the mortgage information. These are things that are available to all of us in the public domain, and agents don't use it. And even if you don't need it, and by the way, a lot of this stuff you don't need to list homes. I was listing a lot before I learned this. It's a better way to do it, and your clients deserve it. And that's preparing quantitatively. Like, you have to look at this like a doctor. I want to see the culture. I want to see the MRI. I want to see the CAT scan, not to make me feel good, although it does make me feel more confident, but to advise my home sellers better should something arise where I have the data to back it.
Yes.
But when I was explaining to you what I did,
Right.
you told me I missed a key point, and this changed as a paradigm shift for me. You said, Andrew, that's great. You're preparing quantitatively. That's phenomenal, but you're missing the qualitative preparation. Talk to us a little bit about that.
Well, thank you. And even before that, there's another little step here, and that is this: most agents refer to some of the preparation as a pre-listing packet.
Sure.
I think that should be changed to a pre-marketing packet, because it sets a different tone. You could discuss that in that terms with the homeowner, because homeowners are much more interested in what you're going to do to market their home than how you're going to list their home. But let's get to the qualitative. So what I would do over 20 years and several hundreds and thousands or whatever of marketing presentations, I would always prepare qualitatively. And I've made a few notes of some of my process. Number one, I would never go to meet somebody with one of my agents without first telling myself, I am going to love these people. Now, how often have you told yourself, I really don't want to go to this function. I don't want to go to this party. I don't like these people. And when you tell your brain that, you manifest those vibes. People pick that up. By telling yourself, by telling myself, I'm going to love these people. This is how we make money. This is how I provide for my family. I want to help these people. I care about these people. They're honoring us by giving us this opportunity. There's 8,000 other agents in the MLS, and they're meeting with us. I love these people because the number one question every home seller asked him or herself during any engagement with a salesperson or marketing person is this: do I like the salesperson? And they decide that in moments.
Right.
And if they don't like the salesperson, everything is downhill. So it's almost like a subconscious principle of reciprocity.
Yes.
By virtue of me telling myself and showing that I like them, I'm always going to be liked. So that's the first thing I prepared for qualitatively. Now, why was that important? Because some of my agents, and I know sometimes in the Northeast, we can be a little bit abrupt and perhaps too straightforward. But I used to hear a lot of my wonderful colleagues on the way to the appointment say, Alan, boy, because oftentimes they had been there, they needed me to go in and close it. Oh, Alan, this homeowner, one of the people, the husband's a real jerk.
Right.
Or she's a real this, and so forth and so on. But I knew why, because they were saying things like comps. They were doing things that offended people, and so it became self-fulfilling. And then after we secured the marketable listing, we'd be driving back to the office, and my agents would say like this, Alan, no, this was after them saying, Alan, can you come to the bar mitzvah? Can you come to the wedding? We're having a barbecue on Saturday. That happened every single time. And my agents used to say on the way back from the appointment, Alan, they fooled you. They fooled you. He's really not that nice. That's not who they really are, because I brought out a different person. So that's critical to start off by telling yourself. The second qualitative dimension is this. I always knew before I arrived what the population of the town is. For example, Andrew, we're here in Bel Air, Maryland. Do you know what the population of your town is?
I do now after talking to you so much. It's 12,602.
No, actually it's 10,102. Okay, but just so you know. But most people wouldn't even know. And so I would always say this to every single homeowner at some time. Folks, my job is to let the world know why we have 10,102 happy campers living here in Bel Air. And every single homeowner would say this, oh, is that our population? Because that just shows that neither they or their town are interchangeable widgets. I'm taking a forensic approach to everything I do because I'm a professional. That would lead me to the third qualitative thing I would always say. And by the way, because Bel Air, as exquisite as it is, as vibrant as it is, as classic as it is, as magnificent as the downtown is, we've got to understand something. Bel Air is one of Greater Baltimore's best kept secrets. Now that's fine when you're living here, but we've got to change that when we're marketing your home, okay? That people really love to hear that, okay? Because they want more attention now that they're moving their home. And the next one, I would always be prepared to point out distances. I would say, by the way, Andrew, and I've seen your home, so this would be very appropriate for you. Your home is wonderfully sequestered. You've got all the symbols of tranquility. It's fantastic, your home, but you're also very convenient. I love how convenient you are to both Route 24 and Route 1. In fact, how close do you think you are to Route 1?
Probably about 5 miles.
No, you're actually 4.2 miles. I measured it last night. So these are the things, every single homeowner, I wanted to start off letting them know that I've already zeroed in on what's their particulars. That's being prepared qualitatively.
So we're calling quantitative preparation and qualitative preparation. This is called real estate reconnaissance.
Amen.
So if you're going to
Exactly.
be proficient in this stuff, get your quantitative stuff down. It's all public domain. But then qualitatively, this was a game changer for me. And I go on typically probably 4 listing presentations, AKA marketing proposals. I haven't brainwashed myself yet. I go on 4 marketing proposals a week. And now every time I say, I'm going to love these people. That is powerful. That is extremely powerful. And I also tell myself, I'm going to love this property.
Exactly.
Because you always love the property because if it's a beautiful property, and many of them are, you're going to get that commensurate fee and provide for your family. And even if the property's not that nice, Alan, this is an Alan joke, giving it back to him. Even if the property's not that nice, just love the fact you don't have to live there. Hey, okay.
Hey, Andrew, the other thing is that you can never praise a person's home enough, and it has nothing to do with the price, because for most people, that's the only time their home has been clean in 5 years. Okay, so you can't overpraise it. But the other thing in terms of qualitative preparation, during the marketing proposal, the most important question you can ask any home seller is this. I'm going to talk directly to the audience. Folks, may I take a few minutes and share with you the way in which I'd like to describe your home to the marketplace? There's no question that captures their imagination to that degree. But that requires preparation. Now, I drove by one of the homes in your neighborhood, and you asked me to describe it. And in 5 minutes, I texted you my description, and it blew you away.
It blew the home seller away, too.
Because you were going after that home seller. so the point is this, is that prepare yourself for that. Now that you can have interior pictures and homes that have been on the market before, take 20 minutes and put together 5 or 6 descriptions. I like the way your principal rooms, I like how your home is second to none in terms of this. You don't have a backyard, you've got an arboretum back here. But put together 3 or 4 sentences that shows that you're so. The other thing I used to do is this, Andrew. I used to develop a pre-marketing letter that I would send out to all of my 32 offices that we owned. Dear colleagues, we're in the process of potentially representing a homeowner in Bel Air that lives on a cul-de-sac that has that very coveted 5th extra bedroom, and it's on a special elevated lot. I can't give you the address right now, but please start preparing interest amongst your buyers, okay, because hopefully we'll be putting this home on the market this weekend. Then I would show the homeowners, here's what I've already been doing without divulging your address, just in case you were concerned about time, okay? Because I knew that every other agent, they'd only be talking about what they were going to do. I already had started.
It's so beautiful. So I want to recap that for the audience, because this preparation piece is really big. And then we're going to get into the meat of this stuff, which is this incredible presentation and some timeline things and all the social media and the good stuff. But if you miss this, you're going to you could miss something really important. So quantitative, you got that. Now to bullet point this qualitative stuff, I'm going to love these people and this property. You're going to know the population of the town, the city, the municipality, the neighborhood, whatever, the building. 3, have a best kept secret and prepare for it. 4, know the distance to some major landmarks.
Restaurants, symphonies.
Restaurants, I-95.
Exactly, theme parks, whatever.
This stuff it seems simple. No one does it.
Exactly.
But you know who does? Forever agents. Now,
hey, Forever Agents.
Boom. Notice the t-shirt. If you're listening to this only online, Alan's got his Forever Agent Pledger t-shirt on because he is the pledge master, the godfather of all things pledge. And if you haven't taken the pledge, I'm embarrassed I don't have my sticker. It's the first podcast I don't have my sticker on. I might have to peel that off your phone and put it on my shirt at some point. Now, there's 2 other dynamics to this. Okay, those are the 4 key qualitative things. Here's 2 things that you added that I hadn't actually heard before. So see, that's what I'm saying. This always gets better. We want you guys to add to this too. Can I share with you how I describe this home?
I would like to describe this home, yeah.
That's another thing that no one's done, because that takes serious confidence and it shows your preparation. And then boom, a pre-marketing letter that you're already writing to your colleagues.
It's almost like when a stock goes public, it's like friends and family.
Right.
Okay, and this is different than the pre-MLS and where you need to
coming soon.
A waiver of cooperation from the MLS or whatever. This is completely appropriate in all contexts.
And here's the thing, guys. As a modern day practitioner, we all know it's great to be armed with that. Doesn't mean you have to pull it out if you're not feeling it, but you're going to be armed with these things. These are arrows in your quiver once you are at the kitchen table that you can use. And it may help you secure, it might be the difference between making $50K and not. So it's so simple to prepare. Now, let's get into the actual, now we're showing up. Okay, we prepared this home seller for what we're going to go over. We're going to go to the house, and you taught me a few key things here. Let's start off with, okay, we're pulling up to the house. I'm going to go meet a homeowner. What's the first thing I do?
Well, first of all, the first thing you don't do is get right out of your automobile and go right to the door, because that shows you're indifferent to the home. It's not captivating. It's not compelling. See, and the reason why buyers will linger a little bit longer is because they're actually interested in the property.
Right.
We have agents that are tipping their hand that they're more interested in getting the listing. And so I suggest stand out in front of that home, have a yellow pad of paper. But you should do this anyway. So this isn't just to impress the homeowners because they're looking out the window. You should be psyching yourself to be identifying amenities and nuances that will be part of your text and images.
Yeah. Okay, so that's step one. Never walk straight to the door. Have
Exactly.
your yellow pad out. Take notes. Smile and nod.
Because imagine if you're outside the home like this.
Shaking your head no.
It'll be all over.
disgusted.
The opposite is true. When they see that you are affirming their property, that you are approving of their property, they love you.
And make no mistake, they're always watching you.
Exactly.
This is a big deal for them.
Yeah.
They've had a conversation. Honey, they're going to,
Yeah.
Andrew's coming at 5. Don't sign anything.
Yeah.
They have the house clean for the first time in
Yeah.
5 years, potentially.
And obviously, if you ever got there and somebody, you saw another agent do that in another company, you then say to the homeowner, why was that agent tipping off the neighborhood that you're moving? But anyway.
So you always say, you always have to be able to spin it in some way or the other. So, but that's a great first step.
But you should do that for the honorable reasons of really getting prepared to be the storyteller of the entire lifestyle, the street, the neighborhoods, the painting, the architecture, the landscaping. Ooh, it's beautiful. Go ahead.
Yeah. See, this is why we're going so deep on this, because each little thing can have major consequences.
Amen.
Now, when you get to the door, when I was kind of showing Alan what I would do, and you liked most of it, but then we kiboshed a lot of it, and we blended this together with this beautiful synergy of what we've created. I said, Alan asked me, what was your first line when you got to the door? And I said, well, typically I just ask, hey, can we take a tour of the property? You want to show me around? One of those things that maybe you also say, you're just trying to break the ice, not be weird, show me around. That violates proclamation number 14, which is, forever agents don't use lazy listing language. And what I just described is pretty lazy. Hey, show me around.
Oh, why don't you show me the properties if I was the buyer? Lazy listing language.
Tell them what we all should say verbatim, because don't deviate from this.
What I said to thousands of homeowners for many years and would still say today is this. Folks, why don't we take a pre-marketing evaluation tour of your property together, so together we can start determining which of your amenities will provide us with the greatest competitive advantage. See, that's a pro at work.
Just say it one more time because people are going to want to hear it.
Folks, why don't we take a pre-marketing evaluation tour of your property together, so together we can begin to determine which of your amenities will provide us with the greatest competitive marketing advantage.
That right there was critical for me. That was a light bulb went off in my head, because now I'm not trying to guess what I'm going to say. Do you want to show me around? Can you give me a tour? No.
You're on a mission.
And the other thing you told me too is you always say, hey, thanks for allowing me to come over this afternoon. Thanks for allowing me.
Yeah.
Because you're giving them a little control. You're not
Exactly.
invited in. They're allowing you into their home.
And that's what I say beginning the presentation when we get to it. But no, that's exactly right.
Well, that allows key. So before we dive into the actual presentation
Yeah.
here, and we're going to get there, and you're going over that tour, when you're getting the homeowners to show you around,
Yeah.
this is key. This is bond and rapport 101. These are all the things you have to nail before you start to present and propose, so you can make sure we're all on the same page. You have some just golden lines here. So what every homeowner does, Alan, is they say, you're walking around, hey, here's what we did in the kitchen. We updated this island. We extended it. We changed the cabinets.
Well, I believe essentially, I may not be right, but I'm convinced that essentially every single homeowner points out improvements.
Yes.
And in 2022, more than in 1989 for this reason, because of pricing history. Because homeowners who bought a home for $700,000 a year ago that now want $850,000, even though appreciation doesn't basically validate that delusion, what they're desperately trying to do is they're trying to place a greater importance on their improvements.
Right.
And so if you understand that, you've got to be ready to what to say. So if you're walking through the home, let's say you're outdoors and the homeowner says, well, Alan, we used to have concrete around the pool and we used to have sliding glass doors, but we upgraded to French doors in blue slate, then I would always say, wow, that's really going to give us a marketing advantage. That's the tour here. That's really going to give us a marketing advantage. Let me ask you this. Whose idea was that? And one of the partners would always say, oh, that was my idea. Now, what I would always make sure I would do is, let's say it was Susan and Bob. I wouldn't say, oh, Susan, that's a great idea. I would say, Bob, Susan had a great idea here, because now I'm getting a twofer. I'm honoring Susan, but I'm engaging Bob, and Susan gets to hear her partner have to rejoice in my compliment. And then I'm going to say, after whose idea was that, Susan, I don't know if you did this for resale purposes or just for the aesthetic enhancements of your lifestyle, but again, that's really going to give us a marketing advantage. Now, there might even be one person listening here or watching that may be thinking, oh, that could come back to hurt us on pricing expectations. That has nothing to do with how a pro ends up handling the price. This is just honoring people, making them feel great as they should, in honoring their home and honoring their improvements.
So that's a beautiful way to start this process off right. You're going on this pre-marketing evaluation tour together to determine what amenities are going to give you the best marketing advantage. And then you're complimenting the homeowner, you're complimenting the spouses, you're getting both people involved. And that happens throughout. You're going to be using those types of lines throughout this tour. Wow, whose idea was that? Brilliant. So here's a pro tip from someone who's just doing it every day. I'm going to do it actually after this. You always put down all your real estate reconnaissance, the presentation we're going to show you. You put it down during that tour where you want to come back to. Most listing agents know that. But you also, and you taught me this, Alan, you want to put it somewhere where you're sitting opposite your prospective home sellers, where you can see both of them, but they can't see each other. So they're not signaling to each other what they like, what they don't like. You want to be in total control of this. Now, after you go through that pre-marketing evaluation tour, now we're sitting at the kitchen table, you're across from them. Before we dive into the actual presentation, because we're going to go right through your 7-level step up, and I want you to just hammer that home, because this is all your great stuff. And I've enhanced some of them, and I'll jump in with social media and video and that sort of thing. This is a critical point to understand the 4 C's.